Hey my friends, this is Josh with Trade Profile, and I want to do a little walkthrough of the platform that if you see me do pre-market posts and write-ups, you're going to see this platform, which is called WindoTrader. And what I want to do is just walk you through what I am displaying and looking for in my charts. And so you understand a little bit of the anatomy, and you can always look and reference this video if you have questions about what exactly are you seeing. So I'm starting here with just the really simple, very simple setup. We're about to open with Globex. That's why you can see some price moving here. But let's just walk through what it is exactly that we're seeing. And I'm going to start by just isolating the very most simple thing at all, and that is a daily market profile graphic. So let's just kind of zoom in here and just get a picture of what is this exactly and how do you interpret this. I'm going to start by expanding this because for one, if you've never seen market profile before, essentially all this does is it arranges price range data over 30-minute periods, but then collapses that down so you can see the distribution of the data. You can see where were people active, where was inventory active over time, and this is really helpful from a structure standpoint to know how is the auction behaving. So if I just cancel this real quick, you can see how that pushes down. Now the color here, the gradient, is the intensity of volume. So what that tells me is that on this day, this is where all of the volume was. There was much less volume here and here. There's a little bit of volume here. But the higher the intensity, the more volume that is. And the most traded price was right here at 46.34, something we call the point of control. Okay, so if I zoom in on this, I can see that price. And then if I actually expand this, I can see where that point of control was over the day. So it started here, a little bit different color here. In B period, it was here. C and D period, it was here. E and F, it was up here. G, it was down here. It moved, ultimately came to settle in this area. Okay, so some couple other parts of the anatomy here. One is what we call the value area. So that's where 70% of the volume traded in that day. This is value area high. This is value area low. So one way that we interpret that is that anything above the value area or below the value area is what you call an unfair price. Okay, this is the closing price of the day. The open is actually, if you look and zoom in here, you can see this little dot. That was the opening price of the session. And then this green bar here is the initial balance, or the first hour's range. Again, if I expand this, this is the range of both what we call A and B periods. So this is the first hour of the day. And so we can see very clearly when we've extended above that or below that to get a picture of where the auction is. Okay, so that's what you see in what we call an RTH profile. A couple other things that this highlights is sessions where we have what we call single print. So this is an area where we only traded those prices in one 30-minute period. That's what we call a single print. And you can see also that there's different types of days. Now most days, by and large, end up having some kind of bell curve to them. This is one of the advantages of using the profiles, that you find there's a price generally. Now, there are other days where they're more elongated. And this is what we mean by the structure, allowing us to see that structure. Okay, so that's just an initial anatomy. Now, this histogram over here on the right, that's what we call a composite volume profile, that I can set a certain period of time and be able to see how much volume was traded and where were the most traded prices and so forth over that period of time. Now, I'll also, because this is a futures market and it doesn't just trade during the cash session, I have another template here that shows me the overnight session for the day. So this is the overnight session and then the RTH session. Collectively, those are the full 24/6. Okay, so that allows me to see how the overnight developed relative to the RTH, and I have that as a different color so I can really clearly see what did the range look like overnight, what would the distribution look like, still coloring that by intensity of volume. And this composite, again, I could select and say, hey, I just want to see what the composite looked like for these last 3 sessions of the week, and I can right click, session, set cumulative, and then it's going to give me a volume profile that matches what those last 3 sessions were. And you can see over the last 3 sessions that 47.15 or 47.17, that was the most traded price. That was the most significant price to the auction over the last 3 days. Another key price, 46.55. Another key price, 46.30, right? 46.74, a price where we really didn't do much business at all. You can see that here, right? This is an area where it was thin if you compare the 2 sessions. So that helps me just get some contextual information on what's going on. Now what I want to do is I want to go back and actually show one of the most powerful features in WindoTrader is that the ability to look at multiple time frames inside of one day. And one of the things that makes that really, really cool is that from a development standpoint is I can click on any day and I can say, okay, I want to go and, actually, let's go back to this day right here. And we're going to go down and it says, where's my, oh yeah, here we go. We're going to replay. So we're going to replay from the open on that day. And I can just, with a really quick drop down, immediately see what I want to see. And it sets me to start right on the open. Now I'm going to add a couple other templates in here that are you wouldn't see in the other ones that are going to give a little more picture. So this is what I look at when I'm in the current session. And this shows me the cumulative volume profile for the full electronic session. So this is both Asia, Europe, and the US. This is the developing volume weighted average price. This is 50% retrace. This is colored by intensity. And then this is actually developing point of control, so most traded price, and the developing value area as that full ETH session is developing. Okay, I'm going to add another template on here as well. And that is this one, which shows me the Asian session. I don't look at that one a whole lot, but I do look at this one. And this is showing me the European session. So this shows me where we opened in Europe and where the initial balance was. And I've already extended that initial balance. So as I'm coming in to start the next session, and we can just start that by pressing play here, you're going to see a new session start to play immediately. Okay. Now what this is showing me, so this is starting to develop that RTH profile. Couple other items that are involved here. So one, this is it's kind of a visual footprint or order flow information where it's showing me where is the impulsive activity either on the bid or the ask, and where by volume, what's the delta. This is a negative number, so right off the bat we're showing buying deltas as it's presented here, and then this is also giving me real-time session statistics for the period. So we'll go ahead and play this, and I can set how fast I want to play this. If it's at 30, right now we're playing it 30 times on the replay, so that we can get push through this quite a bit. But you can see that there are there's a big seller here. The delta is changing to the sell side now. You can see where they're developing value. A couple more big sellers come in. They come back and test that developing VWAP for the session, but yet holding above that. Now there's a couple other templates that I have that I look at intraday, and again, this is some of the significant power of WindoTrader is that I can look at multiple time frames on one chart. So what this is while I have the developing market profile graphic, this is a 30-minute candle with a 30-minute histogram. So it's just looking at the volume histogram for that 30-minute, and then I've got order flow information for that 30-minute period. So I can see where okay, there was big volume here. Who was there? Was it buyers or sellers? There's big volume here. Who was it, buyers or sellers? And that gives me information that over each period I can see how did the order flow from a cumulative delta standpoint go from one period to the next. This is meaningful information when it comes time for me to execute. So I can have done all of my homework and I know the areas that I want to be active. Then I can turn on or turn off these sessions in WindoTrader to be able to say exactly the time frame that I want to see without having to take my hands off the wheel. Which I can get most of this information in other platforms using lots of other windows. What's unique about WindoTrader is the ability to see all of it in one space, so that I can just focus on what am I looking for, and if I don't need the smaller time frame stuff yet, I can just turn it off and get it out of the way, or if I don't need the London session information anymore, I can get that out of the way. and I can just focus on what's happening in the developing profile. And then I even have a smaller time frame, like if I really want to execute this as a 3-minute, and it only shows me the last 6 bars on a 3-minute basis, but this is when I really want to hone in on an area of interest. I can look at how that's developing on a much smaller time frame relative to the 30-minute basis, relative to the larger context of what's happening in the profile, to get some really cool insight. So this is just a quick overview of WindoTrader, just to get the idea of some of the components and pieces that I'm looking at. So if you ever look at my charts and you're like, what the heck is that? This gives you some insight. If you have any questions about that, feel free to shoot them to me. I'm a pretty big fan, and it's a significant tool in my toolkit, and a great one for developing traders. Specifically for this function right here is the ability to say, hey, there's any day that I want to look at, I can go back and I can replay. I can set the speed which I want to replay, and I can go back in a scenario and trade that market as if it was live and get the reps in that I need, focusing on the specific setups that I'm looking at to really accelerate your trading development and performance. Hope that helps.